right of a non-zero are significant. So suppose, Jackson, that you have to weigh out a very small amount of zinc. And you go to the balance, and you put the zinc on the balance, and it reads 0.0250 grams. So that's what the balance tells you, 0.0250 grams. So zeros to the right of a decimal and to the right of a non-zero are significant. So we have some zeros here. Is this zero, Alex, is that to the right of the decimal point? No, it is not. So that zero is not significant. How about this zero? Is this one to the right of the decimal point, Natalie?
Yeah.
Yeah. But is it to the right of a non-zero number? No, it's to the left. It has to have both conditions. So this zero is also not significant. So these two zeros, if they're not significant, what do we call them? We call them placeholders.
Is it just zeros?
Only zeros can be placeholders. A placeholder, their job is to show the size or value of your number. So their only purpose is to let me know that I'm dealing with a number that starts in the hundredths. Because if they weren't there, what would my number be? 250. So even though they're not significant, I have to have them there to let me know it's not 250 grams, it's 250 hundredths, or 0.0250. Is this zero to the right of the decimal point? Yes. Is it to the right of a non-zero? Yes. So therefore, that zero is significant. Non-zeros are always significant according to rule number 1. Non-zeros are significant. So the 2 is significant, the 5 is significant, and the 0 is significant. And I said the last significant digit is the one that's the guess. So that 0 is my guess, and the 2 and the 5 are certain. So these two we're 100% sure about, and that 0 is my guess. So we have a total of 3 sig figs. And that really, this is rule 3, and really this is rule 5 down here. Rule 5 says zeros' only function is to show size are not significant. So that was an example of one that's not significant. Yes, Beth?
Okay, so say for number 3, like, it was like 1.025 grams or something, like, would there be like 4 sig figs instead of 3?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like this.
So is that 0 trapped between 2 non-zeros?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would fall under rule 2. If a 0 is trapped between 2 non-zeros, it's significant. And so the 5 is my guess. Those are significant. We have a total of 4 sig figs.
Okay, so the amount of sig figs to change to
Yes. It really depends on your measuring device. So like when we had our ruler yesterday, and we start with like this side, we ended up with 2 sig figs. Because we're going out to the ones place, we guess up to the tenths. But when we went to something that had more graduates, we had 3 sig figs. And if we had something that had a lot of graduates, we'd end up with 4 sig figs. So the more markings, the more sig figs you'll have. All right, rule number 4. Can't wait. Underlined zeros are significant. Don't worry about that, this thing is possessed. Underlined zeros are significant. So let's say I've got this number. Let's make it 55,000. $55,000 grams. If there is an underline, that underline, Victoria, tells me that that is my guess. Okay? The underline tells you that's the guess. So that means that 0 is my guess. And all digits to the left of an underline are significant. So if that's my underline right there, it automatically makes everything to the left of it significant. So the 2 5s we're sure about. So what's the deal then with these 2 zeros? They're called placeholders. So these 2 zeros are placeholders. So this is an example, Megan, where the guess is not the last digit. That is the guess. And then we have a total of 3 sig figs. This rule is not encountered very often, but you do need it, and usually you need it, Ian, for very large numbers, okay? So let me give you an example here. We've got a very large balance. I'm going to weigh elephants. And it goes up by thousands. So it's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So if there's the needle, what is the value of that balance, Miranda? Okay, so looking at it right now, Miranda said 2,500 kilograms. So what was Miranda's guess there, Kaylee? The 5 was her guess, right? we're certain about the 2. So this would be 2 sig figs. And these 2 zeros would be placeholders. But our guess was in the hundreds, right? Why? Because we're going up by 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. That means if you're going up by 1,000, then John, you guess to the hundreds. So that's your guess. But what would happen if the line looked like this? And Miranda wanted to guess not 2,500, but she wanted to guess this. How do you let someone know that that's my guess and not the 2?
Underline.
That's where the underline comes in. So it's a rare circumstance, but you do need it because then it lets somebody know that is my guess. And so then I know that this 0 is a guess. That's we're sure about. And so I have 2 sig figs. Yep,
The other
Megan.
2 zeros placeholders.
And those other 2 zeros will be placeholders. Now what if my balance, instead of going up by 1,000, what if my balance went up by hundreds? And my line was right there. I know it's very hard to see, but it's between the 2 and the 3rd hash. So if it was between the 2 and the 3rd hash, I would know to do something like this. 2,200, and then I'd make my guess. So then that 3 would be the guess. These 2 numbers we're sure about, and I would have 3 sig figs. But now let's contrast it again to the same scenario I just did. What if the marking was right? Appeared to be right on the money. We're not going up by thousands anymore, we're going up by hundreds. So I should be able to guess out to the tens place. So here we were going up by thousands, we guessed to the hundreds. Here we're going up by hundreds, we would guess to the tens. I'm guessing it's exactly 2,000 kilograms. But how do I let somebody know that I'm guessing to the tens place? The underline. So that is my guess. These 2 numbers we're sure about, and we still have 3 sig figs. Do you have a question, Bethany? And I know this stuff is very dry. It's not the most exciting topic in chemistry, but it is very important. Because what if I told you, Jared, that an airplane can only hold 2,000 kilograms? And what numbers are we sure about?
Just 2,000.
If we didn't have sig figs, we wouldn't know what numbers are certain. So if I put 2,001 kilograms on the plane, would it crash? Or could I put 2,010 kilograms on the plane? If I told you that this was my guess. That's the number I'm not sure about. So maybe the plane can hold 2,090 kilograms. Maybe the plane can hold 2,000 kilograms. So somewhere between 2,090 and 2,000 kilograms is the capacity of the plane. So then I know if I put 2,200 on there, guess what? You're crashing. But if this is my guess, well then, maybe the plane will crash, maybe it won't. Because I'm saying this place is my guess. So 2,200 might be just fine. So then you would know, Maggie, to go back to your boss and say, we need to do more testing. It might succeed, it might not. Okay? So again, the whole purpose of significant figures is so that you can communicate to somebody which numbers you're absolutely certain about as being correct and which numbers might be right or they might be wrong.